Hi guys, how are you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Today is another guitar unboxing. This is a Jackson SL2 DX hardtail that we'll be taking out of the box and showing you guys, and I will play it. Although I won't be spending too long on today's video on the actual guitar and the playing, because I've already demoed and played a guitar on the channel, the same guitar but with a Floyd Rose, so there's not much point going over it again too deep. But I don't want to talk about the hardtail because it's a totally different feel. Before we get into that, I just want to say that this week I've unboxed and demoed 3 guitars already in 1 week. It's pretty busy at the moment. You guys won't see them all in 1 week. I'll spread them out, so it's 1 a week, but that's how busy I've been. Last week, guys, I had a really bad week for trolls. Like, it was ridiculous. And I looked at my subs and I thought, I wonder if my subs have gone up, as a result of this ridiculous week with the trolls. And it hadn't. The growth rate, or whatever you want to call it, was exactly the same as it usually is. Nothing spectacular, not a big change. It just must have been a bad week for trolls. When guitars get sent out to me, it keeps me going, okay? So the brands that want me to keep doing this, keep me going at this, because it's not always fun. So when I get out of bed in the morning, I spend the first hour before I go to my day job answering comments or liking comments or just reacting in some way to what you guys say. If I miss some, I'm super sorry, because the reason I spend this hour every day doing this is just because I think that if you've gone to the trouble of commenting, then you are worth some kind of acknowledgement, because if it wasn't for you guys, then the channel wouldn't exist. So that's why I try and answer everything. And you know what? If one day the channel suddenly grows and it takes 4 hours to do that, then I will spend 4 hours doing that, because I believe that it's just the right thing to do. I'm so grateful to you guys for all the nice comments I get. I mean, some of you guys are, say that I'm like the best player I've seen today and all this business. And I mean, I can't believe people even say that about me on my playing, for a start, because I'm just an average player. But I get abuse as well, and it's uncalled for. Usually it's just 1 guy a week. It's not that bad. But last week was insane. There were 4 or 5 guys all in 1 week giving me loads of grief. And like I say, I knew that I had 3 guitars turning up this week. So really their comments just bounce off and don't really have much of an effect. However, I don't ignore those guys. A lot of YouTubers do, some even block them. I don't. I like to roast them if I can and give them what for. Sometimes even give them a bit of a life lecture, tear strips off them, and kind of show them up for the pussy that they actually are. In real life, guys, like, I've gigged all over the place. Forget the internet. In real life, I've gigged all over the place, and I've never ever had any other guitar player come up to me and say any of the things that these guys say on the internet. And the reason for this is because you just punch them out. You just, they'd be on the back, okay? They wouldn't with everybody, but I'm the type of person, I wouldn't say I go looking for a confrontation. In fact, I definitely don't. I'm quite a friendly, nice guy. However, if there is going to be a confrontation, somebody comes to me looking for one, I'm okay having one. That's what I'm saying. Whether that's right or wrong, I don't know. But, if somebody starts, I'm sorry, but I'm going to stick up for myself. So the internet bullies, as we call them, say some pretty bad things that are pretty offensive. And like I say, I keep saying, because there's a new guitar coming all the time. And I think, you know what, if my content, my playing is good enough for Jackson guitars, PRS guitars, Black Star amps, then it's good enough for me. But yeah, it's been a pretty bad week on the trolls last week, and some of them, like some of the stuff they were writing, was just incredible. I mean, some of them I don't even understand what they're trying to say, because they're not exactly the most intelligent people going. But I often find that these guys as well don't have anything to back up what they're saying. So when they criticize your playing, I usually argue with them for a bit, and then I'll just be like, well, if you think you're that good, then let's have like a guitar war, and I'll put the video out on the channel. I'm not a great guitar player by any means, but I often think that these guys that are all mouth would never send a video in a million years. But even if they did, I'd still do it. And if they were a great guitar player, fair enough. But I often find that these amazing guitar players out there, your Vi types, these prodigies, I often find that those guys, because they're great guitar players, they don't hang around on the internet dissing other players, because they don't need to, because they're awesome. The guys that usually diss everyone else are the guys that are pretty margin, pretty shit, and are going nowhere in life in the first place anyway, because their attitude stinks. And the ones that do go anywhere and do get nice things and do get somewhere in the music business usually get found out later and end up in a mess. Anyway, that's speaking from my experience. So yeah, I just wanted to get that off my chest, because I'll probably get some trolls on this video now, but I just want to say, you know, these comments that I get, they're pretty much bouncing off me. But if you're having a bad day, you know, I am a human being, and it's not like there's an outlet. Like, if somebody rubs you up the wrong way and says something really nasty in real life, you tell them where to go, don't you? You know, if they want to start shoving you about, you'll probably put them on their ass. On the internet, you can't do that. It's nice and safe for these pussies to go around trying to pick people apart. And quite often, like, I'm in a group chat with a lot of other YouTubers, and quite often, if we ever screenshot any of these comments and put them in the group, it's quite often that they're turning up on everybody's channel, and they're quite known. Email there. And they're quite known. So, you know, but I don't usually delete them or block them. I just argue with them, and, you know, they go away. Some are persistent. Some arguments can go on for a full week. If that's what it takes to make somebody realise that they're an arsehole, then that's what it takes. Right, moving on, guys. Sorry about that negative start, but, you know, sometimes we've got to get stuff off our chests. This will piss the trolls off, because Jackson have sent me this guitar here. This is a Jackson SL2 DX HT. I have my MG version down here, obviously. It's got EMGs in, and a Floyd Rose on there, and it's absolutely awesome. It plays like absolute lightning. It makes me feel a lot quicker and faster than I am. It's an effortless touch on the fretboard, exactly what you would expect from a Jackson. One thing I will say is, if you are a Jackson guitar player, I have been for years, the Jackson Speed Neck is like home to me. What I will say is, if you're like a Pro Series, X Series guy, which I used to be, I always use the Pro Series and X Series, you know, the ones made in Indonesia and Korea, if you are lucky. They're great, and they're getting a lot better as well, quality-wise. I had a Pure Metal on the channel not long ago, and it was absolutely awesome, made in Indonesia in the Cork factory. But what I will say is, if you say are spending, well, I don't know, anything over like 1,200 quid on a Pro Series, I would highly recommend saving up a bit longer. If it takes a year, it takes a year. And getting yourself an American Series Jackson. The reason for that is because they really are awesome. They are just great. I could play just American Series Jacksons for the rest of my life, and I would be perfectly happy. And the cool thing is that they do all kinds of various genres as well, even though they look like a metal guitar, like the Virtuosos and stuff are in pink, pastel style pink and stuff like that. They're dinkies, they're a bolt-on. The soloists are a bit more metal looking, but they just play absolutely great. And with the Seymour Duncan JBs in, you can get away with any genre that they actually want to get away with. And they're just a massive upgrade, in my opinion. You can feel a difference in quality, and when you lower the action, the buzz is less and they set up easier, and there's not as much vibrating parts and things. It's just a better quality instrument. You don't get the bells and whistles on an American Series like you do with a Pro Series, you know, body binding and veneers on the tops and everything like that. You don't get all that. They're pretty basic, you know, one colour. But playability wise, it's definitely worth having a bit less bells and whistles and a much better quality instrument. They don't feel as toy-like the Indonesian Jacksons. I wouldn't say they feel like toys, but there's a certain feel to guitars that are of that price range that is a bit toy-like, and you don't really notice it until you pick up a guitar that is, you know, like a made in America or a Japanese guitar. That doesn't just go for Jackson, that goes for all brands. Unfortunately, not everyone has 2K to throw around, and if I didn't have like an artist deal at Jackson and other brands as well, I wouldn't be able to afford these guitars, you know. And if I didn't have this YouTube, I probably wouldn't even have a deal. Definitely worth upgrading to the American Series if you can afford it or have the patience to save up. You know, instead of buying 2 Indonesian Jacksons, get an American Series 1 and you won't look back. Right, here we go. This is in satin black, guys. It comes in one of these foam cases. What are they called? I always forget the name of them. Foam core or something core. They're pretty good. If you are in a car gigging, they'll be fine. If you are in a van and you are putting your guitar in a van touring with amps, cabs, things like that rolling about, I wouldn't risk it. But on the back seat of a car in a boot, I think they'll be absolutely fine. Strap locks, Dunlop, I believe. A few of these bad boys stop the moisture getting in there. Right, let's reveal it. I'm not as excited as usual because, like I said, I've just given Jackson back the Floyd version of this guitar. I'm not going to lie, I did ask Jackson if I could keep that. They said no, unfortunately. I think I deserve one. Because I've done a lot of videos for Jackson, but you know, there's budget and a lot of complications and things involved, but I absolutely loved that guitar. It played amazing. It felt broken in. You know, those guitars, sometimes they don't feel new when you get them. They feel like they're just already broken in for you. It was a bit like that, a bit unique. So I really loved it, but unfortunately had to send it back. And that's when I got in touch and said, you know what, really, I could do with a hardtail Jackson because I've not got one. The hassle of a Floyd doesn't bother me that much, but it's just nice to have a hardtail as well. So a hardtail always suits me down to the ground. Let's get this thing out. It looks mean as hell. The white Jackson logo there on the satin black, you know, just, you know, it's a metal machine. But like I said, you can play anything on this blue. It's got a really nice clean tone. And obviously you've got the selector switch as well. Split the coils, all that shenanigans. We've got stainless steel frets on the American Series Soloist now, which is a massive upgrade. I am hoping for, do you remember the Jackson Monarch? I'm hoping for an American Series one of those, but I think next it's probably going to be a Kelly and a Warrior in the American Series, because we've had Soloist Dinkies, Rhodes, you know, probably be a King V as well, which I'm going to have to try and not be tempted with, because King Vs are my favourite stood-up gigging live guitar. Right, so the setup on the American Series guitars is really, really good straight out of the box. And I'm telling you now that this one is insanely low action. Like, it's lower than the MG version. And it's definitely lower than the DX that I had with the Floyd. It's insanely low and shreddy, and that is going to play like an absolute dream. So the hardtail bridge here is a Hipshot. Absolute awesome bridge. Real great quality. Less under your hand than a Floyd. Feels absolutely awesome. It's almost like your hand is almost flat to the body. When you get used to one of these, it's really hard to go back to a stock tail, I find. I think the nut is a Graphtec nut. You've got locking tuners on there. Got a locking tuners, absolutely amazing. And you even get locking tuners on the Floyd versions as well, guys, which I absolutely love. I've been asking for years for brands to be putting locking tuners. If you've been on the channel ages, you'll have heard me moan about it. You know, why don't those Floyd users get locking tuners? So the Floyd versions have them as well. I don't know why I'm reading this. It just says who's assembled it and all that business. So yeah, absolutely love the guitar. Feels amazing. Will it be in tune? I very much doubt it. It's not. But Right, I'm going to tune this up, guys. I'm going to plug it in. I am going to be going from this guitar into my Sonic Matribox 2. The Matribox 2 will then be going straight into my iPhone there. If you want to buy a Sonic Matribox 2, guys, please go down below. Whoops, and there's an affiliate link down in the description. Go through that link, buy anything you want, use code Neil, and you get 10% off, and it also helps support me at this end. There's also a Thomann affiliate link down there below, guys, in the description. Go through that link, search for anything you want in the search bar, buy it, and that helps me out too. Also, what I forgot to mention at the beginning of the video is that this video and all my videos now are sponsored by Stringjoy Strings. That means they provide my strings and keep things fresh. And also Dan's Guitar Store picks as well, which I use. This is a Precision Mini. Right, I'm going to play out till the end of the video and enjoy this guitar. No more interruptions. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I'll see you all soon. Beautiful.
Bye.